So yeah, it's obviously very different climbing here because you can't use any chalk, and also you have to use knotted slings for protection. And everybody, I don't know, everybody is always, or the people that we've been around with, are always like really positive and says everything is not that bad. But then you look at it, and the first ring bolt is 20 meters up, and you're like, really? So yeah, we found it to be quite bold.
Need some quick draws. Or no, I just need one quick draw.
And then me and Tom looked up and the first ring bolt was at 20 meters and we were like, okay, this is like typical Czech style.
God, this pokey thing's kind of annoying, isn't it?
No chalk.
Then you, after about 20 meters, the hand jamming stops and you have to do quite a hard move on the slab. And here it was easy for Pete to get a little bit lost and he went too far left and I thought maybe he was stuck and he was going to have to jump off.
Everything is so slopey.
Fuck's sake.
God, this is hideous without chalk. Absolutely hideous.
Pete's one of the best on-site climbers that I know and in the UK I would say one of the very best, and it's really, really rare for me to see him go a little bit here and then a little bit down and then a little bit up and not look mega smooth.
But that was kind of like the first experience, and it was like, oh, it's all going really well, and then you get to the slopey top out, and it's like, oh my god. Yeah, but you know, good experience, good first experience.
Yeah, it's the chalk factor. That is the big issue. Yeah.
So the second route is a very unique route because it's the first half is in a chimney and then you have to pass into a second section of a thin finger crack. And the first chimney is, again, quite a nice start, it's quite moderate, and you arrive at a roof where you find some protection and you have to do quite a hard move to get under the roof and round onto the front face. And from here it's probably the hardest move in terms of bad feet, and it's quite poor friction. So the move's quite powerful, it's hard to clip the protection at this point, and then a really beautiful finger and hand crack to finish. When I came round onto the front face, I couldn't find a comfortable position for my feet and where I wanted to place it, so it felt like 90% of my weight was on my hands. I got really tired in my hands, and then I realised that my left hand I couldn't hold on anymore, and I just couldn't even do a move.
Come on.
And I take.
Take care. Yeah.
That route was actually really nice. It didn't have the same experience as I had on the first route. You clip a knot, which everybody said was really good, but it was all the sheath had like frayed and stuff. But I guess that's good for around here. And then you kind of like throw over to a really good hand jam, and then it's over and really cruisy to the top. Again, like really amazing hand jams to finish. If it was on gritstone, it'd definitely be one of the most classic routes, I think, yeah. It was in this chimney, and I guess the walls were quite sandy, and the left wall was a little bit green, and also the chimney tilted like that, so your foot on this side always felt like, it's not like it was going to slip, but you know, it could be one of those ones, it could go at any moment, and then you really would just face plant into the floor, and it'd be really, really bad. Really bad. Again, like, not that difficult climbing, but really dangerous.
The first 15 metres are quite bold chimney climbing, and a lot of chimney climbing, if you fall, you can quite often catch yourself very quickly. On this, you're so open that one slip and I think it's really bad.
But then when you get to the first bolt, you do this, you step over onto this slab, which is quite a unique move. You just have to like push off the other wall, step over, and then you have some like really delicate, nice slab climbing. And then the top hand crack, absolutely amazing. I wasn't afraid of climbing, but I was just like careful and wary not to make any mistakes, because it'd be easy just to like go and climb really quickly, but if you do that, it is a possibility your foot could just go whoosh, and then you know, you'd be.
I think if you take the difficulty of the routes, physically, they're not very hard routes. They're more, I would say, moderate routes. I think is not the physical aspect of the routes, it's the combination of all the different factors. And for us, climbing without chalk is a very, very different game.
What's your first impression from Adršpachu?
First impression?
Yeah.
It is quite hard. It's pretty hard. When in the Czech Republic someone says it's a bad fall, this is so much worse than like UK.
Yeah, okay.
It's the level with the UK or US where we go, it's death, you're gonna break your legs. And here it's a bad fall. It's simple. I'm just adjusting because it's dangerous to climb with a rope, which is not in a good condition. Because look, that's not safe. And I am now making up a new type of knot. And I would say my willingness to make up a brand new type of knot, it shows my level of confidence in everything else I have. Look at this.
Oh yeah, I know about this. This is the route that I know about the most in the whole of Czech Republic. Yeah. Yeah.
That was sandy than I was expecting.
Teď je to psychicky těžký, že jo? Protože kdyby si spát, tak se oflákneš do ty plotny. Takže se to zužuje, že jo? No. Nejde tam žába, tady až když se do toho tak nahlemzáš a vlastně ve chvíli, kdy si to zužuje, tak jak je to převislý, tak vlastně z toho zvonu tě to furt vyflusává, že jo?
Wide Boyz is, yeah, for me the most famous route, and it's always been a route I wanted to climb. So to climb it was amazing, like so good, and it didn't disappoint. And I had to fight so hard, and it made it more worth it because I was scared, and I had to fight hard, and I was so tired. I think it was quite a bad strategy from me because in the very hardest part I decided to stay a really long time, and I also tried to place a knot.
Fuck's sake, I can't fucking do this shit. It's just fucking awful.
I think I forgot that people told me that that was where the hardest move was, and so, but I only just had enough energy. I was getting really tired.
Oh, pumped.
How was it?
Emotional. It's hard work. It just feels like going home and going and soloing.
I got to second it, which is really nice seconding because you can kind of come a little bit more out the crack and do some more bridging and chimneying. You don't have to be like so far in and feel so secure because you're not leading.
Did you meet somebody up there?
So yeah, on the top we met Speck. And he came up behind me and Tom, and he's just like an absolute machine. Me and Tom took about, we took like all day on this route. And then this guy came up behind us and took about 20 minutes. But he's like a local hero, isn't he? So.
Tady, Kubo, když jsem dolez poprvé, tak tady mi došlo lano. Měl jsem provázaný ten kruh, Zdena řekla konec lana a vyrazil jsem k vrcholu.
No ne.
No. Tak to tady je dobrý, ale to já jsem nevěděl, že?
Cože?
Protože to muselo být RP, vole.
Ještě byli poctivý RP.
The most obvious thing from meeting him on top of the tower, and he was talking in Czech and we were talking English, so there was no translation. You can see he loves it so much, and that's so cool to see in someone who's not 25 years old and, you know, young and crazy.
Prosím tě, kolik ti to trvalo vteřin to vylízt nahoru? Jako ty to počítáš někdy?
This is like such a new style, even though I climbed for so many years. I climb it like I'm soloing, more or less. So just being way more careful and wanting to be more secure on every move. It's different, it's really different experience. Really, really different. It doesn't feel like trad climbing actually.
You know what, I don't look at the sense of a traditional approach to climbing because I don't think there is sense. I think it is just tradition and it's what people are happy with. But what I think is important is that everyone does the same thing. Because you could break it down always, the same in our traditions. If you break it down and really think about it, some things are kind of silly. And you go, well, why can you do this, but you can do that? It annoys me when things aren't fair for everyone because it's a game which favours the elite. I mean, it's all of us, it's a hobby and we like doing it for fun.
Rajska was the hard overhanging off width. I'm gonna try left foot in. That was probably the crux of the route. It took like quite a few ups and downs. So I was like up and down, then like trying to get my feet through, and couldn't quite manage it, and then back down to like the little bridging rest, and then back up again, trying to get them through, and back down until I eventually like figured out the configuration of hand and fist moves, and then I managed to flick my feet through, and you can kind of shuffle them up, and then hang off your feet and kind of swing around to a good ledge on the left-hand side. But you kind of shuffle across, you get a ledge, and then you have to negotiate your way into this funnel, off-width funnel to finish. I really love those off-width routes where like a technique to it or like a trick to it, and then once you like work out the trick, then it feels easy. But then before you figure out the trick, it always feels absolutely desperate.
That's actually a really good route, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good route, yeah.
And not some freaking disgusting lip turn. Guys, please can you do once more
Flip your hands.
Oh, right, yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Ah, but you were that side, weren't you?
I was right side in like that. I was like that.
Ah, that's that.
Like that. But I had my left hip in.
Ah, I was like this.
And then I had to go like that. And then squeeze through like that.
Sounds like a night at the disco.
So at Teplice, it's slightly different to Adršpachu because it's more walls on either side. There's less like towers and pinnacles sticking up everywhere, and it seems like there's more like cliff faces in a way that like look really inspiring to climb.
Oh, this is interesting. Got some kind of stuff in it.
I have to use chalk, this is going to be strange.
Okay, so the tsunami wall is like a big wave of rock. It does look pretty blank really, and then it just gets like ever so more steep near the top, and then steeper and steeper and steeper, and you're like, oh god, that looks really scary. And you just see like a few little knots hanging out the middle of the wall, and then like a ring bolt miles away, and you're like, oh god, I don't really want to go up there. But the first route I tried was Tsunami, mainly because it had lots of ring bolts. So that's the one I went on first. But then I realised when I got on that, as I started to go around the corner and look around the corner, it was all like really hot around there because the sun was on that wall. And then I was like trying to see the holds around the corner, and the sun was just completely in my eyes. So I decided to down climb and go up a route called Boomerang at the middle of the wall. Yeah, so I took the chalk on the first part of the route, but then because I'd been climbing with no chalk for the rest of like the time I've been here, it felt really weird when I took the chalk up. Even though everybody said you can use chalk on these routes, like it felt really weird using the chalk. So I just left my chalk bag at the top of the crack, and then I didn't use chalk anymore. I don't understand sometimes when chalk is allowed and then chalk isn't allowed. That concept kind of confuses me a little bit, because like the locals say here, when you get to a certain grade then you can use chalk, because it's hard enough to use chalk. But then for people who want to try and who can't climb as hard and want to try and push their grade in the lower grades, and they're not allowed to use chalk, that seems really unfair. But then you might get a really good climber, and they might come along and then be able to do the routes where chalk is allowed, and they might be able to do it with no chalk, and they're like, well, why are you using chalk? Because I can do it with no chalk. It seems really odd. It kind of seems like it should be one or the other. So. And you do a little scary section from like some knotted slings up to a ring bolt high up, which is easy climbing, but it's just like, again, it's just quite scary. And then from this ring bolt high, there's two ring bolts together, and you've got like it's probably like a V8 sequence or something of really difficult climbing, like really bouldery climbing. It's like a 7A into a V8 or something. And yeah, it's just really hard at the end getting into this groove, this finishing groove. I didn't manage to do it. Well, I didn't take chalk with me. And yeah, I knew I wasn't going to do it. I was like psyched to try the moves, but I knew I wasn't going to do the route, so I was just like keen to just try the moves. So.
Yeah, I class it into like adventure trad. Yeah. Because adventure trad's the more kind of more unknown, bit more kind of experiencing. What is it then?
No, adventure sport.
Sprad.
Sprad
climbing.
Spradventure.
Spradventure.
Spradventure climbing.
Yeah, there you go. New English word. Spradventure climbing. Let's see what happens with this Spradventure now. I always feel like on the last day of a trip that I want to just relax and chill out, do things that I don't really have to think, I don't have to switch my brain on. And it's nice because the moment when I return from a trip, I go really hard to work. So I have really long hours to go back to. So I like to relax on the last day. It's nice.
Yeah, I'll follow that. Good fun?
Yeah. That was like just classic, nice off-foot thing and laybacking.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, the trip to the Czech Republic is absolutely amazing and it's a proper adventure and all of the climbers here are really passionate about what they do. Way more into the climbing compared to England. And that's nice because it's a really positive thing. And thanks so much for having us in the Czech Republic.
Děkujeme, že jste nás pozvali do České republiky.